I am Hine Moana, the atua of the open sea and tides. I am the glimmer of sea foam against the rising sun. I am the rainbow hues that strike upon the reefs by day. I am in every crevice and every vein of this blue planet. I am in the depths of its underworlds. I am the goddess of the ocean. I am life. But life is no longer sacred. My precious children are sick. Like weary travellers in the wake of the shadow of giants, they live in misery. My guardians have been displaced by the New World people. My memory, a mere whisper. Every day, a sliver of my modi, my halo, the life force that connects all life, is depleted. But there is still hope. As the morn arises, so too are the people of the Pacific.
The Marae Moana, which loosely translates to sacred ocean, speaks for itself, and so we're trying to build awareness around our Marae Moana, the notion that it's our whole ocean that matters.
The Moana is a marae to us. It is traditionally, historically, the highway that allowed our forefathers to travel, to connect from their waiki to the waiki that we have here today. The Marae Moana is Arawi. When we talk about Arawi, it is an area that we impose customary protection.
You know, it's our ancestors that came up with the concept of Rāui. And Rāui is not a permanent conservation zone.
The beauty about this customary protection is that we have the scientific and the contemporary mechanisms such as the legislation to back it up.
We know that most of our people understand and adhere to the Rāui, but we feel that now it's very important for us to speak about the ocean more than just our lagoons. And so we're trying to educate our people or re-educate our people into the notion that it's our whole ocean that matters. When you look at the ocean itself, with the technology these days and gaining more knowledge of the deep ocean, I don't think there's any reason why we can't put Rāui type zones out in the deep ocean. The Marae Moana protection zones of 50 nautical miles around all the 15 islands roughly equates to about 350,000 square kilometres of protected ocean. The whole of the Cook Islands, Marae Moana, is 2 million square kilometres of ocean. So it's a pretty large swathe of ocean.
And within that Moana, you know that there are all kinds of species. You're talking about the tora, the whales. You're talking about the mango, the sharks. You're talking about the fish that we fish from our waters. In short, the Moana is the raurau of food. It's the basket of food to feed, to support the people.
Te atua o te moana, te atua o te whina. Hei tia mai, ni mātou e ta mātou paraukuru. Haratai a mātou i esu tēnei tāpare. E te nuu atua o te moana. Awhari mei i te enei tāpau. O te riro e whauwha na te enei mo tae motu hene. Te hina aro e whai te atoa i a rātou i tō rātou hanahana e sui te ine otu i matahere te reini. E te ru atua o te whenua. Te ie te i mo te ano tātou. Te ie te i mo turini. Te i tā mei ropo i te nuna o tapu a te anei. A whai mei te tei tāpao. E tāpao e tūpati nati raya i te nuna. E veira i te iu. Tēnu atua o te rewa. Te ie mei nei. Tō mau nuna. Teitia mai, teitia mai, teitia mai tā mātou.
With those final words, the rāhui for the Hinemoana Halo project is set in the presence of ocean guardians, with the aspiration to bring back life to the Pacific Ocean and to restore the mauri of Hinemoana. But while this occasion brings joy, a sad reality is ever present. Like other Pacific islands, Raiatea is extremely vulnerable to climate change and rising sea levels.
Those of the most, I would say, exposed are the atolls, especially in the Tuamotu. So these are the ones that really are facing at the forefront of the issue of the climate change.
Senator Richard Tuhaiava has been working with the local community of Taputapuatea to turn back the tides and to save this sacred site.
There is some controversy over here in the scientists, in the local government thinks it's about 20 years, like 20, 30 years. Those local communities are really already getting threatened by some aspects of the climate change. There are some tools that we can use. And at the end of the day, the idea was to start protecting the sites from the climate changing impacts.
Impacts already visible. Indigenous ocean management approaches like Rahui are now part of building local climate resilience.
You all understand Rahui as managing tools, using the observation of nature, the seasons, like Matariki, Matarii. There has been some efforts. For example, you have a permanent Rahui for over half a century now.
Local elders say Rahui is important to give taonga species like the octopus and the whales a chance to adapt to climate change.
Rau no te tōra. Unei, pori nei tia nei. E ani mara whātura rohi a te raya. E te tata maahui no pori nei tia. No te mea, te weira tōna parau unei. I te ano tau mātāmua ni mataiti o no ahuru. Wei te hia te tōra nā unei nā roto. Te parau o te whē. Te parau i o tumurai whenua. Te rai ei oa te hito pahi e iso i te whē. Ro te mea, nāna tāpe ara te whenua e te rai. Te whenua, te rai a aweu tō te whē. Are ara te reira, te upoi o te whē, te rai.
Before these beautiful creatures were fished out of the oceans, they numbered in the hundreds of thousands. And now, with the blessing of the guardians of Taputapuatea, the Hinemoana Halo project hopes to help restore these beautiful creatures back to the oceans of Tangaroa and to protect the ara moana that connect here from Tahiti through Rarotonga and south to the lands fished up by Maui that Kupe would call Aotearoa.
So our first breath comes from the ocean, and then our second breath comes from the whenua. For Ngāti Kuri, we're water people, and so we're really aware that it's a privilege to have whenua. It's not a right.
Located just north of Aotearoa is Rangitahua, an island sacred to the people of Ngāti Kuri and all Māori. It's also famous as a meeting ground for humpback whales, and a plethora of marine species. Its location is considered the gateway to the expansive ocean, known by ancient Polynesian voyagers as Tuahiwi Nui a Hinemona, the Great Ridgeback of Hinemona.
Rangitahu is one of those spaces where it's like a bellwether, it's like a light that just flickers, and it's the kohanga.
Ngāti is supporting the establishment of the Kermadec Ocean Sanctuary. They are extremely concerned that climate variability is already impacting on taonga species.
The kuaka is a classic of a decline of 80% over the last 5 years, and that's by pure nature of the different storms, uncertain weather patterns. They cannot evolve fast enough for the accelerated change that's upon us. So the whole flight pattern, so if kuaka are out of line, our tohoraha are out of line because they travel together. We'd be waiting for kuaka now for like 2-3 weeks late time. They're on the brink of extinction.
There's only a few places in the world where you have so much whale activity, and it's because of that continental shelf, the food stocks that are in there. That's why we have sperm whales all year round. And our whānau here in Kaikoura, they are culturally, spiritually connected to the whale. Our eponymous ancestor, Tahu Pōtiki, is the grandson of Paikea. And, it's well known that Paikea made his way out from Hawaii on a whale out here. So for Ngāi Tahu, there's a whakapapa connection to Paikea and to our whales. All other Pacific nations, that great migration, following the pathways that the whales would have taken out here to Aotearoa, there's a really special connection. Initiatives are happening right across Aotearoa, looking at practices like rahui and how we can protect and preserve particular areas that sustain our whales. First and foremost, it's the moana and then the whales. And if you protect and preserve those, then it's people. Then it's how we benefit economically, culturally. We have to look at initiatives like blue carbon to look at how we can take conservation action now.
Many years after the oceans, forests and mountains had been created, Maui, grandson of Mahuika, was born. A master navigator, Maui would lead a flotilla of waka to the lands of the rising sun, Hawaii. There he would find Lahaina, the point where the sun reaches the zenith of the solar noon. Fishing up islands from across the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, his descendants have remained voyagers to this day, navigating thousands of kilometres of ocean, observing only the winds, stars and tides.
This Maui line that comes, and so they were present, they were here. This is our genealogy, our kumulipo.
Maui's greatest feat was to slow down the precession of the sun Ra.
He went up to Haleakala to slow down the sun. He was doing it for his kaiulu. Like, we are all on this va'a together, this va'a, our honua. Important point to the story too of and I always see that with the Maui, is that he's always doing this for his kaiulu. He's doing this to help his community. I think utilizing and leveraging that our kupuna had, those tools that they had, it is now more relevant than ever. Certainly the most immediate that I see is that sea level rise, and especially the storms and then droughts and all of that. But those are the three that I definitely see. We're losing our road, we're losing land every day. And so, how are we helping each other to ensure that future generations from now will still be able to live here and thrive here?
The little information we have on climate change now is that it doesn't look like there's more hurricanes, but it looks like they're more severe and they're stronger. And the duration of dangerous days of winds are longer. It's not if, it's when. When are we going to get hit? If we value the oceans as a place that is critical to the life that we enjoy and the life that our children are going to inherit, clearly the oceans must be protected. We must become stewards. We need to be the stewards. Who's better to do that than Pacific Islanders? Pacific Islanders had nothing to do with climate change, but could arguably be suffering the most first. We need to come together and figure out how to steward these. We need to come together and figure out how to build healthy economies, our economies by our values, based on our traditions and our heritage that was handed down thousands of years. Couple it with the power of science. Have to do these, just small elements, and then teach your children well to be the actual stewards. The pohe, it sits at Tapu Tapu out there. And we know this. And, some can trace ancestry back to the navigators from that most powerful school. So it sits there and radiates out in the arms of the, we call He'e, to the many different islands, and Hawaii is one of them. And that road is called Keala'i Kahiki, the pathway to Tahiti and the pathway from Tahiti. It's our ancestral road. It's 2,400 miles. We own that road. That's ours. It was given to us by our ancestors. We have a right to that road. It crosses into the high seas, and it's a modern day legal issue. Our time as voyagers are not just to discover islands. Our time now is to train young people to heal the islands. We need to relearn how to live on islands again. And the most crucial island is the island Earth. What we do to the ocean will define whether we can keep our species or they go extinct.